Hello, YouTube. Chance Paladin here, doing part two of my quote unquote first hour. This one isn't going to be an hour, but we're calling it first hour anyway because that's the way it goes. This little horror gem is called Yonesawara Hospital, and it's another kind of like this wasn't me looking for kind of stand-ins for Fatal Frame / Resident Evil / oh boy, I've been up for a long time. Silent Hill. This wasn't me looking for stand-ins for those. What I was my kind of Halloween plan for CDK this year was to do as many horror games as I can, as fast as I can, and then I think somewhere between like my 4th or 5th game in, I realized an overwhelming amount of content was action oriented, because in certain ways those are the easiest to do, but they also take the longest because sometimes they're either the most bloated or it's painful because their pacing is really bad. And so there was two things I realized I needed to do. I needed to mix it up so he had some different styles of content for kind of the horror Halloween-y type of thing. Because I had already done 2 games, if I recall, back to back, and they were both like action. And I was having a challenge getting kind of one of the horror-y ones that I wanted to do, and I kept forgetting about it because I didn't have it on Steam or GOG because it was banned from everything. Not this game, a different game. And so, already here at the beginning I screw up and accidentally already got turned around and tried to leave. Because I was a little confused. I go into these games completely blind. So I don't know what kind of scary stuff is going to happen. I don't know what type of horror game it is. Oh, so I spend a good chunk of time just getting my bearings in these games. And I remember the music being already first spooky thing, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. Okay, it jumps right in. So 2 things. I don't always know necessarily if I'm even going to be able to beat the game, which unfortunately there's another one coming up. That I love the game, but I just do not have the patience to beat it, unfortunately. So the translations in this game are really bad, but they're hilarious. Oh, so yeah, I'm learning the controls right now, and I realized that you can quick turn 180. So I was like, I wonder if that's gonna come into play later. It does. So I was looking for like a different style of game, and I wanted to do a bunch of like psychological horror stuff. But so many of those games are just so overdone by the screechy overreacting. Oh, I was trying to crouch here because I wanted to crouch and look at the doll, and then I realized there's no crouching, and then I realized I could actually see through that to other rooms. And fun fact, you'll notice this later on, that that picture on the right is scratched out and blurred, and I don't know why. there is a lot of teeny tiny details in this game. It's very short though. This is not on. How long does it take to beat? This is a truly, well, I wouldn't call this an indie game. They call this an indie game. There's only two or three. There's only like 2 or 3 people. But when I see something this polished, I absolutely cannot stand it when people call these indie games. This is their second game. You could argue maybe that was like an indie game, but this is a fully featured. It's not feature length, but it's a fully featured game. It has all the mechanics, and it has a story, and it has. I can't stand it when people call them. Anyway, I think that word's just been overdone. But yeah, it's only 2 or 3 people, and oh yeah, so I'm like, all right, I want more like psychological horror stuff. I'm like, okay, you save from the phones. I'm like, okay, I get it. You save from the old phones. Got it. So I had realized there was sort of this trend. I'm like, oh, the door's knocked down. There's this trend. Oh, also, you can't tell from here, but there's spooky. Lots and lots and lots and lots of spooky in this game. But there's a big like heart beating from that door. And so yeah, it starts you off right. Not knowing what's going on with that door. I had realized I put tons and tons and tons of games on my wish lists that look interesting, and then some of them never release. Some of them eventually release, and then you never know what the price is going to be, and I wait for the price to come down, and then I wait for a sale as well, because I'm just sick and tired of getting ripped off. I want to give these developers money. I do. But I still feel like either some gamers are super rich, or they're being subsidized by their streams. I don't make any money streaming anymore at all. So I don't get any games for free. I mean, I occasionally rarely gives a game away here or there for free, but they're like, 20-year-old games, to be honest, most of the time. And things I grab to have, but not that I'm interested in. There's actually patterns. The texturing in this game is crazy. There's super, super intricate patterns on the wallpaper. Anyway, so getting back to my story, I apologize. I realized that I'd had kind of a psychological horror game from Hong Kong. Spooky ghosts. Actually, that's a spooky ghost, but it's also trying to give you a clue. A clue. I had a psychological horror game from Hong Kong, and I had a psychological horror game from Japan, I believe. And so this game wasn't on any of those top 10 to blah blah blah. And it wasn't even on how long to beat. And actually, they don't even have a website that's in English, or Twitter that's in English. I had to get out the Google Chrome and try to figure some stuff out. So that's when I figured out they had a second game, and I want to check that one out too, although it's significantly less developed than this. And so this one was from China, and so I was like, I wanted to try to find like I was having a really hard time clicking here. It's because there's a mode to have a little reticle in the middle, so you could aim it at things and make sure you could open stuff successfully, but I didn't want to do that because I thought it would break immersion, but I knew it would help me target things. So I'm like, nobody's going to care. if I fumble around for a while. It's not like anybody's doing this expecting me to, have a high quality polished experience. Anyway, so I actually picked this game out because it came up on like Chinese horror games. There was other people that were looking for Chinese horror games. Just those are little music discs, by the way. They look like saw blades. They're music discs. Spooky. That comes into play later. Why those discs are everywhere. There's a thematical element to there being music. This puzzle doesn't initially work for me, and then after I try it a few times, it eventually works. Okay, so I forgot in my last one if I really said what I needed to do the playthrough, what I needed to look up a playthrough for, which was just finding the key in the last one. I needed to try to reverse engineer some playthroughs on this one because when the major thematic element to the game, once it starts, I was already like really disoriented from how they don't open up the entire map for you. Oh, you stay in this hospital the whole time, by the way. They don't open up the whole hospital for you. And that's a huge problem for me, who can't navigate through these games worth shit. There's two things. You do get a map here in a little bit. Does it finally work for me this time? There we go. I had switched it back and forth a few times and it didn't work, and then it finally did work for me. So there's a map, which is super cool. It does help. There's a second thing, though, that helps you later on. And you put the little deal in there and it opens up that little diddly-doo. There's lots of keys to get in this game, but it is done very tastefully. I prefer keys to having to get like constantly get weird shit. Oh, and even though these translations are really bad, the theme of the game comes across really well. And even though I don't think I explained the story in the last one at all, probably because I would need to play it again 2 or 3 more times, I think, to understand the story of the last one. Not that it's bad, it's pretty complicated. The story to this one is told so straightforward that you can really follow along just fine. And that's actually why I usually don't even read this shit. But in games, healthy, Helthy. Healthy man of robust health. The heart of a healthy man of robust health. Yeah, I also loved I love horrible translations. But anyway, basically it's some eccentric asshole that gets some kind of ding-dong item, some kind of MacGuffin item, and the MacGuffin item tells him to do horrible things. Oh, because his wife and daughter tragically die way before their time in like a car wreck or something. And so you can imagine he is distraught about that. But he also collects music boxes. Hence the music CD saw. Oh yeah, and you're like, wooden lockers. What the fuck are those things for? And they tease what the bad guy is, but you don't really get an idea of what the bad guy is from the picture. It just looks like a girl crawling around, a gal of some indeterminate age, but a gal crawling around. They keep the rest of it obfuscated. And so that's an interesting reveal later. But yeah, suffice it to say, he's trying to bring his wife or his daughter back. I'm not completely clear. I couldn't find every single help text, every single story element. I couldn't find every single one. Mainly because, I do encounter one bug in this game. And actually, all the way back at the beginning, when I was first discovering like that second or third room, and I was looking through to another room, and I said, hey, I can see through this wall. You can actually get in there later in the game. That door's supposed to open, but it did not open for me, and so that, spooky. Fuck, there's so many damn jump scares in this game. They're usually not, they usually don't jump at your face though. Anyway, there's actually so many jump scares in this game. And a lot of them you don't even see, but there's like shadows, shadow people, reflections, ghosts, shit falling. I'm like, are you gonna fall down? It doesn't fall down. There's just they chalked this game so full of like triggered shit falling and walking around. It's impressive. I don't want to say there's like maybe like 100, but it is just some massive number of these couple people just went balls out on having just weird shit happen. I kept thinking these like buzzer alarm things were going to do something, and I was so scared because I didn't want there to be like buzzer alarm things going off the whole fucking game. So I was ready to turn my volume down at a moment's notice. Because that shit will not only give me a migraine, but it'll give me massive fucking anxiety. That's why I'm looking at all of them. I'm like, these... I wonder if this is some kind of MacGuffin thing. There's also another weird MacGuffin thing where the story keeps saying how there's tons of shit working in the building with no electricity on. I was a little disappointed that I couldn't use the elevator. It would have been really, really nice to be able to use the elevator. Unfortunately, you never get to use it. Also, those buzzer things never go off, which I was happy they never went off, but then there's actually a narrative reason why it would have been useful. Same thing with the music boxes. You actually can turn some of the music boxes on later, but it doesn't help you. At least I don't think it does. So I was reading all of these. Unfortunately, there's so many of them that you can't memorize where they all are. And it also kind of doesn't help you because it's not really clear what they all do. What they're all for. They're for puzzles later on. But even when it's time to do the puzzles, you don't really remember where every single one was. And then the fact that it's sort of hard to get around because not every door is open. You got to remember like these wonky paths. So pretty not like a deep story, but clearly a very well thought out purposeful story. I wasn't really going in with any expectations. I knew I wanted to find Chinese psychological horror. Oh, so you can see there, I was trying to look up at the these, and I'm like, fuck, I can't read Chinese. And then I was struggling with just exactly where every CD was. And then you can see I was having a problem with the key. And I'm like, fuck, are you supposed to like go around to get the key? Because I was having a problem with the targeting. And I was really like, should I turn the reticle on? I'm like, but then I'm gonna see a stupid reticle in the beginning, in the middle of the damn game. Said, it's spooky. Thing slammed on me. You can see what every key goes to. That's really useful because sooner or later when I find the map, almost, I'm like, oh shit, another phone. This is really useful. I'm a chronic saver because nothing burns me out more than having to retread through content. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that thing? What is all this stuff? I'm like, this stuff's cool. I wanted to find a Chinese psychological horror game because one thing I learned from playing the horror game from Hong Kong is they put so much of their own like rich culture in. Not only are the bad guys different, but the tile sets, or whatever you want to call them, the art assets, they're all different. The music's different. The characters are different. Their motivations are different. You know, actual diversity, not like the bullshit diversity they teach here. So, when you play a game from a different ethnic area with a different ethnic origin, it's actually a different game. And so I was so pleased that somebody from China was actually making a psychological horror game. Now I found out they made a second one. It's on sale for a couple bucks, so I'm gonna make sure I grab it, although it looks a lot more lo-fi than this one. They were just learning. I think they were saying they hadn't like figured out, you know, the AI yet for the bad guy in the last one. That's another puzzle box that comes in later. Look at all the artwork. Another cool thing is when you beat the game, you unlock all the artwork. And it's pretty cool. They worked really hard. Like, fuck, I don't read Chinese. But I was watching a playthrough, and somebody else had figured out how to look at the signs. How to read the signs. It opened up my eyes. I'm joking. And so I was able to kind of position myself to like the left or the right of the room. Spooky! Another jar fell. I was able to kind of position myself to like the left or the right, and I'm like, okay, I know some of these rooms, I'm like, what the fuck are these wooden lockers for? Those come into play later. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I could figure out what a lot of the rooms were, so I'm like, this must be the waiting room. And so later on when I get the map, I could remember, okay, this is the waiting room. I didn't know why there was these saves here. I just assumed something horrible is going to happen at some point. I love playing games blind, just like I love watching movies blind. I'm like, sure as shit, I'm like, something's going to happen sooner or later. There's no way this is just a walking sim. I don't even remember. Oh, no, I do. I remember what happens. So, shit, what else is there? What else I really talk about? I kept playing this because since it wasn't challenging me at all, I hadn't really found another puzzle yet. And I like walking sims. A lot of people hate them. I like them. Most of them don't have a lot of replayability, but some of them do. So I'm like, well, shit, even if this is just like a walking sim, like, whatever, I'll see what their vision is. And I'd read something, saying like something about body horror or something, and I'm like, I don't know what that's all about, but I'm like, they made this nice big hospital, and it doesn't seem like a mental hospital. It didn't have a lot of like spooky, mental, icky mental patient stuff. I'm like, what's the red? I'm like, I wonder what the red text on the door means. But it doesn't mess with you by trying to screw the halls up. It's just me getting lost, because I hadn't found the map yet. And I hadn't figured out how to read the doors yet. Or read the signs on the doors. So you kind of look around until you get another key, and then you look around until you get another key, until eventually you find the map. And if I had learned how to read the signs earlier, then at least I could have matched the keys up a little faster. I'm like, why the hell are these dolls everywhere? These dolls must play into something later. So yeah, so far I'm like, there's records everywhere. There's little kimono dolls everywhere. And there's wooden closets everywhere. So I'm like, I'm going to have to be collecting discs sometime. I'm going to have to be collecting dolls at some point. And I'm going to have to be getting into those dressers at some point. So I kind of just, I was starting to feel pretty comfortable, which I'm sure that's by design. They want you to, feel comfortable and learn this place. For some reason, later. So, okay. Oh, I didn't really notice the spooky posters yet. But there's like a spooky, like Frankenstein cyborg looking posters on the wall in some of the rooms, like these really gruesomely depicted. I'm like, oh, this door's open. What the fuck is this door's never been fucking open before? What's it? I'm like, oh no, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, okay, it's just another ghost nurse minding her own business. Oh, yeah. That scared the shit out of me. Because the ghosts have been ignoring you the whole time. And that ghost is not ignoring you. And they've just been there to give you clues. So I'm like, I must be onto something, and thank freaking goodness I get the map. It's still a while before I learn how to read the signs, but the map really helps me out. Because even if I can't even read the language, I understand maps enough to be able to figure it out. Just from like all my land nav stuff and, probably playing a million different video games. So yeah, what else is there to say? I kind of stumble around for a while longer, figuring little bits of the puzzle out. And then I would say about half the game is sort of like peacefully learning the story. Gives you 2 keys, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, the inpatient ward. I don't know what those are. I think those were for like the emergency beacon things that were around. I think the idea was that, like, someone could hit an alarm, and then you'd know from the switchboard where to send people. Anyway, then boop, you're back at the waiting room. So I'm like, well, shit, I better save again. So yeah, the first part's kind of like, you know, peacefully unraveling the story, learning where everything is, learning the mechanics. And then the second half is significantly more exciting. But somewhere in here, well, as soon as I hit this next puzzle, getting kind of like confused and lost and stuff. And I haven't found the map button yet. And I'm walking by books and not picking them up. I think I was getting confused and disoriented as to like which rooms were connecting to which rooms, and I wasn't really absorbing all these spooky paintings, drawings on the wall yet. So I'm like, huh, okay. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to find the inpatient ward? I'm like, it's not that one. See, and I find the map button. I'm like, oh shit. And it's kind of hard to explain, but basically the isolation ward is a wing, the hospital ward is a wing. So it's a three kind of an admin section on the right, the hospital section in the middle, and then the isolation section on the far end is basically how it's set up. The problem is the way the doors are, you can't just intuitively get around. You have to actually go up the stairs and then down another area to get into another spot. And I don't think you can ever really unlock it. Which is a pain in the ass later. But see, I could figure out like which rooms the bathrooms were and stuff. I'm like, okay. There's also a room there called EV that's just below the toilet. It took me the whole game to figure out that EV meant elevator. That's pretty funny. But yeah, as soon as I run into this next puzzle, I'm like, oh, cool. Grassy rooms. And I'm like, is this like a psychological thing where I'm going nuts, or is there actually grass everywhere? But yeah, there's actually grass growing there. Oh, because the whole point of this, by the way, is you're like a private investigator trying to find a missing person. And part of the rules, see, there's the exit. Part of the rules stipulate that you have to go at night. Because they said you don't have any real, they're not going to pay you if you don't go. You can leave right there. You notice the door was still open. You can leave. Just say nope your way out. And you get the bad ending where the person who hired you, I think, doesn't want to pay you, and they say, you didn't do what they asked, you didn't really look. They go look themselves, and then they end up dead. So clearly you didn't solve the problem. And I don't think I get that ending. I think I was looking for just where some of the puzzle pieces were, so I wasn't just hunting, just walking in circles for hours. What a lot of people don't see is I'm listening to the heartbeat in the door right now, because I'm like, maybe I listened to this for a long time and something happens, but nothing happened. What was I gonna say? I spend like a good hour just wandering around these games. There's another game that I'll be doing a future video on. I wandered for like a solid hour in one of those games. This one I wandered for a solid hour and a half. The one I did earlier, the last video I put up, Dread Out, walked around for a solid hour and a half. So I cut a lot of that out, but just so people don't have to see me walking in circles. I used to get a lot of really negative. I was trying to see if you could like open and close doors, but they just close on their own. I love the lighting in this, by the way. That reminds me, this game has, if I recall. Oh yeah, and I'm like, oh fuck, why is that thing blinking? This game had, what's that word? Ray tracing. That's why the lighting just looks so awesome. This game is 2022 game. I forgot to say that. This is a 2022 game. Oh, couldn't get in the lockbox, and so I'm like, that key's not for the lockbox? That's kind of annoying. So I go and look at the keys, and I'm like, key to director's office, and I'm like, I guess that's different. So I'm like, inpatient ward. Crap, I have to go back to the inpatient ward. It gives you the keys in order. It orders the keys in the correct order, too, which I thought was really cool. And so I finally, over here, here's a little dingly-doos. And so there was a picture back there, and it had a kid with a sword and a shield. And so you have to go find the sword and shield music boxes, music records. Just checking out the awesome design of like that cabinet. These people just really put a lot of work into the artwork. So I'm gonna cut it here. Because there's another puzzle to solve. This is right about where I learn how to read the signs. And there's another puzzle to solve, and then kind of a part 2 of the game begins. This is the kind of the peaceful, spooky exploration phase. And then there's phase 2. Oh, hello. Oh, God, it still scared the shit out of me. They did a really good job with the ghosts, mostly just being kind of peaceful clues. And see, that ghost was there by that record. And that was kind of the clue to go get that record. But then the other one, they kind of stopped doing that. And they spent a lot of time on this first part. And you can tell this is kind of where their strengths were, so I assume this is what... Oh, no, yeah. Another fucking shadow people scare the shit out of me. Anyway. So I wander around for like a good 10 minutes before I do like... whenever I can't find something, I do like 2 circuits through the building, and if I can't find it, I go look it up. But in this case, just like a lot of other cases, I just wasn't turning the right way. And I noticed that my brain, I just phase it right there. See, and that's what I learned. Yeah, x-ray room, okay. I paused it to go kind of look up what I need to do. I do 2 routes, and if I can't find it in 2 routes, I go look it up just to kind of save myself some time and some patience. It helps me get through the game. Mentally. But yeah, I have a really hard time like absorbing what's on all the little knickknacks in games. So like the things on walls, the things I notice I can pick out some stuff. Like the last one, there was like a spray can. And okay, a spray can. But like if a bunch of stuff's like the same color, or if it's like really muddy, it doesn't jump out at me. I think I actually spliced out me going and getting that. But I had walked by it several times. And I just hadn't quite been looking the right way. It was really there all along. I think I'd gone by it a bunch of times. The problem is there's so many records laying around, and you only use about half of them. And there's almost too many. They kind of put too many records in the game. They put too many dolls in the game. Anyway, so you get the 2 records, and this thing comes up, and then something came in there, and you hide in the cupboard. So this is the second part of the game, and The peaceful exploring part was over, and now it expects you to remember where everything is. Or get fucked. Over and over and over. So yeah, I do two routes. If I can't find it, I look it up, and then so I need help 2 times. No, I needed help 3 times. Finding that other record, because I wasn't turning. I go in the rooms and I turn right, and it was left, I think. And then one was at the foot of one of the stairs, but I hadn't quite figured out how the game was kind of piecing the wings together with stairs. The wings of the hospital together with the stairs. This also sets up that the music is what's summoning that thing. The thing that chases you, but that's not consistent, unfortunately. You can't use it to your advantage. It's only a disadvantage. So yeah, to find the other disc, and then to find one of the kimono things, and then to find one of the discs again, 2 of the discs, because the discs it was just such an overload. Not only that, it's not intuitive why. The second time you need the discs, it's not intuitive as to why you need them. They're numbered, but it doesn't help that there's already numbered discs that match the numbers that you don't use. So that's why I needed a little bit of help. But I wanted... See, I learned how to do the doors there. I'm like, okay. I wanted to go until we get to the monster one time. I think the monster is technically walking around. Or no, maybe the monster's not walking around right now. It implies that he is, which doesn't make any sense why he is, but the whole time that the heart is still beating in that room. It never explains it, I think. But it implies that he's stomping around right now, but he's not. But he's really close. I have to go to the surgery room. I know. Yeah. I have to go to the surgery room. And I kind of wanted to show that part. My voice is just about toast, though. But yeah, I needed help with the three puzzles because I was overwhelmed by the amount of stuff. It's not bad. I don't think they overdid the amount of stuff to go get. I think they overdid the amount of stuff that was laying around that you have to sort through. Yeah, see, there's the red one, and I'm like, shit, the red room. That's probably the operating room. So, the spooky ghost nurse locks you in there. And there's another one of those cool shrines, but doesn't do anything. And then you can sort of look in there, and he's in there. But you kind of can't get a good angle on him. So I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you all, and buy my book. And again, this was Yonesawara Hospital. And I hope you liked it. And I will upload this in full someday. And I hope you enjoyed this first hour. I'll let it run for a second so you can see what happens. And then I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Leave a comment down below of another game. If there's any other games you want me to check out for horror games, and or not. And there it is. Nope. This has been Chance and Ringo, and take care. Blah, 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 blah.